8,
You're watching The
7,
Experience, Comic Culture,
6,
and Sales.
5,
Streaming live daily to
4,
Facebook, YouTube,
3,
Twitch, and Twitter.
2, 1.
Hey, after a successful weekend we had this weekend at C2E2, we're happy to be back with you guys. And I hope Philip Yin and Stephen, you weren't too much. But anyway, were you there? Let us know in the comments. This evening we've got Antarctic Press. Mr. Ben Dunn is here tonight. We'll be looking at Tomorrow Girl and Kendra, aka Blue Sonia. We'll get into that. And also joining us on the auction board, we have Fish Lee, who does the Mighty Call. We'll take a look at that too. And we'll also take a look at Evangeline from John Stinsman. He's also here. And my good friend, my good pal, Ruben Rosas from Elite Comics is also here. He and Fish were also at C2E2, and we had a good time seeing them as well. Fang Fang is supposed to be here tonight, but she's in Philadelphia. I guess she got in there like last minute, so we'll catch up with her at some point in the future. And we wish her the best of luck at that show. So don't go away. We've got a couple of fish to fry tonight. We'll be right back after this short break. Hey guys, thanks again for joining us this evening. Let's say hello to Kenneth Bird and Stevie B. They're always, you guys are always there supporting us. Good to see you guys in the comment section. Don't forget to hit that follow button. Help us increase our followers so we can continue to give you wonderful broadcasting shows like Nick Barucci's The Original Art Show every Fridays at 7 p.m. Right, and we've got, if you didn't hear earlier, I did say that we have Mr. Ben Dunn as our special guest tonight. So if you want to get in free giveaways, we've got a couple that we'll be doing later on this evening. That keyword is going to be #EXP Tomorrow Girl. Okay, get that into the comments, and that'll get you qualified for that. All right, now let's turn to my lovely wife here, sitting on the side. All right, Mog, what have you got going on tonight? What's happening in your sector of the world? What have you been up to?
Just for tonight?
Well, you know, what do you got going on? Okay, like you're still working on the
we just came back from the con at Chicago. Finished up some Ninja Witch quick commercial commissions, and then going back, finishing up the huge painting, Wolverine versus Kratos, which is not surprising. You know, it should take about at least a month or two to finish such a big painting. It's understandable, especially if you're working in oil. And I didn't know this, but I think you reminded me this Saturday. So in about what? Like today's Thursday, so 3 days? No, 2 days?
2 days.
Wow, in 2 days, I'll be at Comic Bug. It's a comic book shop at, is it Long Beach?
That's Manhattan Beach.
Manhattan Beach. That's like about a 2-hour drive from where we live, right?
It's about an hour drive.
No, I think it's 2 hours.
Trust me, it's an hour.
No, it's about an hour. But last time because of traffic. But anyway, I'll be at Comic Bug from 12 to 4, which is also happened to be a free comic book day, which doesn't make sense. Isn't usually free comic book day on a Wednesday? No, is it?
No,
Saturday?
Free Comic Book Day is the first weekend in May. Okay. Now, it also happens to land on May 4th, which is a special Star Wars holiday as well. Same thing with May 5th, if you know what that is. And so Mark will be there from 11 to 4.
No, it says 12 to 4.
Okay, I'm sorry. It should be 11 to 4.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll be there for about 5 hours. She will have she will have all her books that were nominated for Heroic Awards.
Yeah.
That's Ninja Witch, Ruxy Vampire, Spectress, and Savannah, and also Snowpaw, which was a finalist for Colors, Best Story, and Comic Book of the Year. So you know,
yes,
we're proud to get those, even though they are just nominations and finalists. we'll probably get those because it does recognize that the work is headed in the right direction. Yeah. And what else have you got going on? You've got
That's
in a couple
about
of
it right
weeks, you've got Comic Con Revolution. You'll be there, and the big show after that is going to be Phoenix Fan Fusion, and we're happy to be returning there for our fourth time as a guest here. So we do appreciate that. Okay, so and what are you going to be drawing
now. Tomorrow Girl
tomorrow, girl? Okay,
from
and
Ben
what's the
Dunn.
starting bid on that?
I don't know.
Well,
Oh,
let's start at 50. Okay, so we
okay.
got tomorrow, girl from Mog starting at $50. Have you got anything started on that yet?
Huh?
No,
Or
no,
not?
you don't have anything started on it yet, right?
Yeah. Let's
Okay.
bring the guest. Let's bring the guest.
All right, yeah. So let's bring our first guest up here, Mr. Ben Dunn.
Mhm.
Hello.
Hello, Ben. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
We are so ecstatic, happy
Yes.
to have you on here. We had booked you earlier, but we had some issues back then, and I
No
can't blame you
problem.
because I do like to take a nap take a nap myself. All right, so
Yeah, we
um,
got to get our beauty sleep right.
yeah, and all right, so let's we're gonna get back to you. Let's check in with our other artists on here briefly and bring them on board so we can get the auction drawing started. And first up, we have Mr. Fish Lee.
What is up? Good to see everybody.
Good to see
Happy
you
to
too.
be here.
Fish.
We're happy to meet Mr. Fish
Yeah.
this weekend at C2E2 for the first time in person. We're
Mm.
really super excited. I think that was one of the more exciting moments we had at the
Yeah.
show. It's just a good time that was like happening in front of the.
It always
theater.
surprises me when I meet people in person because they're always like staring at me for a while and then it clicks. And nobody ever expects me to be as tall as I am because I'm only
Yeah.
this big on screen.
I was gonna
Okay.
tell that. This guy's
Yeah.
big. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, tall.
Right.
Yeah, there's a lot of me standing there. Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't
Yeah,
realize how
yeah.
imposing it is until my son got to be my size. And now just like walking behind him in the hallway, I'm like, that's a lot of man just standing there. Like that takes up a lot of room. It's very now I see why I kind of freak people out sometimes.
Are you like 6'4"?
And a half.
Okay, so
Okay.
close to 6'5". Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
He's going
why.
to qualify for that Prussian general. You had nothing but tall men in his army.
There you go. At least you know you're in there.
You don't
So you've
want
got
'em.
you've got a Kickstarter running right now, the Mighty Cod that seems to be doing pretty good.
I
You just launched
absolutely
it.
do.
Yeah, you just launched it. What, a couple days ago?
Yeah, May 1st launched it. And it is
Okay, yeah,
for the first
just
four
just
issues
yesterday. Yeah.
of the Mighty Call. Issues 3 and 4 are the brand new issues that are out. Issue 1 is Heroic Award, not finalist for Best Colors. Got me in for Best Publisher as well, which is crazy because I'm just one dude knocking out comics. But
It's all it takes.
we've got all 5 books, got the first 4 issues and the source book available on the Kickstarter now. And I'm going to be doing a sketch card. And also, not for nothing, the people that get in, there's still a few hours left to get in the first 48 hours to get this sticker sheet that is not showing up there because my other camera locked up on me for some reason.
There you go.
You can get this sticker sheet if you get in by 7 o'clock in the morning. And then the next freebie is going to be this holographic sticker. And they're just going to compound. So the earlier you get in and back it, the more cool swag you're going to get with your
There
project.
you go, guys. So the link is in the comments. Go ahead and show Mr. Fish some love. Back the project. Get some freebies along with that. And what are you going to be drawing tonight, Fish?
I am going to be doing another cost sketch cover. So whoever bids on it will get the first issue with the sketch cover on it. And I'm going to be doing something cool with Call. If anybody has any cool ideas, sound off in the comments and let me know.
If you saw what Mr. Fish drew last time, it was amazing. Okay. So you definitely want to get in on this. Okay. And your starting bid on that is going to be
$50.
Again, he's starting low. Okay. It is not going to end there, guys.
What a deal.
All right. So let's check in with our next guest artist, Mr. John Stinsman. Hey, John, you're riding a nice wave right now with Evangelina out there. How's that going for you? Okay.
Mike.
Okay, now we can hear you.
No, John, I think you might have to do that thing where you close the browser and rejoin again. I apologize.
Yeah, I think
Okay,
so.
so while we're
It
waiting
wouldn't be a
for
show
him,
without a mishap.
Yeah,
all
this
right,
is the
here we go
mishap.
with Ruben
Yeah.
Rosas, who we also saw at C2E2 this past weekend. You're always good to see my good buddy there. How you doing, dude?
Doing good.
All right, and what are you
You
going to
didn't
be
find
drawing
out,
tonight?
but I was trying to win you over with Mog before the show started.
Yeah, this guy was trying to snatch you.
Yeah, man, I got
Rascally.
bids on you. Dibs
Yeah,
on
actually,
you. Told Mog, so
I was
you gotta
gonna
be
say,
careful.
yeah, I was gonna say take this guy, but after a while, I thought, maybe not. It's like,
She rethought it when she started pointing out all the good qualities you bring. So
All right, Ruben, what are you going to
Control?
be putting out on the auction for today?
good old Catwoman.
Catwoman.
ooh, Catwoman.
And the starting bid on that is
We'll do 60.
60. Okay. so
Yeah,
okay.
let's do that.
All right, let's go back to John.
All right, can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah, we can hear you now.
Yes,
Okay.
you're cool.
Anyway, so you're riding kind of like a nice wave with the Evangelina out there, even though you're not, you don't have too much in it. You do have a cover. Was that already revealed?
Yeah, the cover was revealed. It's part of the campaign. It's up and available. You have 4 options, which is the Virgin regular, the trade dress regular, and then there is a Virgin Chrome and a Virgin Metal. So you could take your choice, and that's going to be on the reprint to Evangeline #1, which is part of the campaign. I was just excited to revisit the character after so damn long, and I love that character tremendously. She's integrated into me. So anytime I get the opportunity to draw her, whether it be a commission or something as amazing as this campaign, I'm always down. So yeah, very happy with how things are
Hey,
going. The
Evangeline-
campaign is kicking ass.
Yes.
Yeah, it's, I saw it was like at 66K
Yeah.
not too long ago. Yeah,
Oh,
and
wow,
Evangeline,
for
I have to admit, is one of the ones that kind of like stuck with me after the 90s, and I still have most of those books, including the crossover with Warrior Nut.
That's right. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was fun. I did
So,
a cover to
yeah.
that one.
Yeah.
And
So we're
Ben, did
glad
you do
to
a
have
cover
the
to yours?
two of you here on that. I was actually trying to find my copy of it because I know I may even have like a few of those, but I just couldn't find it at this time. Yeah, but it's good to see that it's doing well. How has that helped you recently, John?
I mean,
with
look,
your
any
as far as, like, getting work or
promotion,
anything?
any promotion or any kind of spotlight always helps an artist to get more recognition and then pull more people in. But when you're a freelancer, it's an ebb and flow type situation. You know what I mean? It's sometimes it's feast or famine.
Yeah.
I'm going to change that hopefully when I get around to relaunching my original creator-owned series, Scarlet Crush, which was another 90s comic book that was out. I'm going to be relaunching that as a Kickstarter. I'm going to be working with Marat and his company, Counterpoint, to bring that to the masses, and hopefully they'll do well. And each issue will allow me to do the next, and I can just keep running with it. That's the plan.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it will, and I wish you the best of luck on that, because
Thank
that's another that I actually did like. I like the style that you drew in that, and it's got a catchy name as well. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah. All right. And what are you going to be putting out?
Well, in celebration of the campaign, I had to draw Evangeline tonight, so
Hey.
that's what I'll be working on. Started
Didn't
off
see
with
that-
the usual.
I didn't see that coming at all.
Yeah, right.
Am I the only one not drawing something?
Really?
What do you want to start that out at?
We'll do the regular 65 starting bid
There we go.
on that one.
All right, guys, there you have it. We've got what all these guys are going to be drawing. So if you want to place a bid on any of those, you can do so in the comments. Don't forget to put in #EXP tomorrow, girl, to qualify for the free giveaways that we're going to be doing on later on tonight. Check out all the links in the comments for Kickstarters and everything else. And speaking of Kickstarters, Ben has a couple Kickstarters running himself. Which one do you want to talk about first, Ben?
Oh, either one. Tomorrow Girl. We can start off with that one. That one
Okay.
ends the soonest.
All right. So Tomorrow Girl, tell us about that.
Tomorrow Girl is a character I created in Ninja High School way back in the mid '90s or so. She's a spinoff of my Tomorrow Man character, which appeared in Ninja High School way back in the late '80s. Of course, he's my version of Superman, but with sort of a manga twist to it. He runs a comic book store, and she gains powers of like Tomorrow Man, and she's not as she's sort of my version of Supergirl. But it's more like a throwback to the original classic Silver Age version. She's not as powerful, as I always thought that Superman is kind of too powerful. It's kind of limits the kind of stories you can tell, I think. Or it's like, gosh, why doesn't he just use his superpowers to just solve everything? So she's actually more like a throwback to the Golden Age Superman, where he didn't have all those weird powers, like he can't move planets, or she doesn't have laser vision. She used to, but I depowered her because I didn't want her to be so powerful. So I think that it makes it more of a challenge to write characters that aren't so supremely invincible, so to speak. And I wanted to give it a sort of a manga spin, so there's a lot of manga tropes in there. A lot of triangle things, and just goofy stuff happening. So that's what I do. I wanted to make it fun. Wanted to make it accessible to young readers as well as people who appreciated the old classic Silver Age of superheroes. And just wanted to just be different from all the other superheroes that are out there.
Hey, I think that's one of the issues now, is that the superhero genre is like they just keep going dark.
Yes, I agree.
And they're not the fun type of stories that we were used to reading before that we enjoyed.
What's ironic is that most of the best superhero stories are coming out of the indie creators. They know they grew up with that stuff, and they long for the days that you return to the classic superhero, good versus evil type story where characters stood for something, and they weren't just avatars for the creators, personal whatever their personal vendetta is,
Right. And and that's what kind of made it fun. But it's like we came out with Wolverine, who had very interesting past. We got to know him in the 80s, and everybody seems to want to follow that model, right? Where he becomes like a dark character.
I mean, when Wolverine first
came out with Batman: The Dark Knight, which was fun. But
now when Wolverine first killed somebody in X-Men, that was a huge thing.
Yeah. But and it's So I wish I don't know if we can, but if we can go back to having like fun stories like that, it would be nice. And you're right. Your characters need to be somewhat fallible to make them interesting. When they're too all powerful, there's no challenge. There's no character growth. There's not much room to tell a good story, because what's going to happen. We want that idea that, oh man, is he going to really get through this? Can he really make it?
If you think about it, if you think about it, 90% of Superman's problems could be just solved by just using his heat vision. It's like, zap, you're done. Next, and that doesn't seem to lend itself to be something that would be, all that interesting, to be honest. So you got to keep coming up with things to give Superman a challenge, so to speak. By limiting her powers. And the thing about it is that she can't use her powers all at once. She has to sort of turn on each power one at a time. So she could be fighting somebody, and if she doesn't have her invincibility turned on, she can get hurt when she's battling. So she has to remember.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and when she's flying, she has to allocate a certain amount of visibility to keep flying, so that she doesn't just fall out of the sky. Basically. So she has to actually think about using her powers before they're just not automatically turned on. She actually.
That's smart. I like that.
Yeah. So I thought that give it a little, give it more of a challenge for the character.
There you go. Yeah, and that's what I think is going to make it more interesting, instead of just being like all powerful. Right? So.
Yeah. But she's also, a young girl. She's trying to learn to be a teenager, and trying to navigate the world. I mean, she's trying to.
Yeah, it's that Spider-Man thing that they did when they brought Spider-Man out, was like, hey, let's bring out this guy, kind of like an anti-hero, and yet he's got to deal with his own life. He's going to school. He's got to answer to. May Parker and all that, so I think that was one of the attractions to Spider-Man, is that as a teenager, like me, I could relate to that.
Yeah, yeah. Stan Lee,
I got to do all this.
Yeah, in fact, Stan Lee wanted to create a sort of, teenagers were sidekicks; they weren't the main character. So he really did something different with Spider-Man. Plus, Spider-Man had problems. He couldn't pay the bills. Had to get money. That, I think, he was one of the first superheroes to be financially strapped. It was superheroes always had all the money in the world. They didn't have any problems, at all financially. So this was like a really, interesting take, on the superhero trope, which really made, I think, Spider-Man identifiable to a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah, whereas we saw all the other superheroes during that time, is like they were just like rolling in money, or somehow they were like fighting.
All of them were rich. Every single one is rich.
Yeah, or they just didn't need money. Like,
yeah,
don't need money.
Even the androids and cyborgs were well off.
Right. So that's what I think is the enduring legacy of Spider-Man.
And I think conveniently, like majority there don't have siblings either, right? They're like the only child.
Mm-hmm.
Well, some of them do have now, but
and if if there are siblings, this is the typical trope. They are actually end up being the antagonist. Like they hate each other. There's no like good sibling type.
Oh yeah, there's issues.
Well, isn't there like Quicksilver and Wanda? Don't they get along pretty well?
Okay, maybe they're the only one.
Yeah,
and they started out as villains, so that's not really fair.
Okay.
What about the Wonder Twins?
Wonder Twins?
Okay, there you go. The Wonder Twins. Yeah,
Wonder Twins.
Stevie writes the evil twins.
And I know that Wolverine and Sabretooth hate each other, but even
I guess if you're a twin, then it's good.
Sure. Absolutely.
They're like get along. I don't know, maybe the pattern. So what is Tomorrow Girl? What's her personality like then?
Well, her, she grew up in it. She was she grew up in Quagmire, which was a very small town. So she was the resident superhero of a very small town. So she pretty much got to know everyone. And she was taught, to be respectful and mindful of others. She has that sort of small town sensibility, sort of like what Clark Kent, was when he was growing up. He's like that stuff. But she's, she also is a girl. She has the girl feelings. She has girl, problems. She has girl things. She has to deal with dating and school and all that other stuff that comes along with being a teenage girl. So plus being a superhero, having to fight, monsters and aliens and what have you, and having to deal with that, all the time. So it's like it can be pretty stressful for a young superhero starting out. So she's just trying to make her way in the world, and I was trying to sort of reflect that in the characters. She's not overly confident, but she's mindful and respectful of others, and she wants to set a good example for others.
Yes, there you go. She is a very good girl, trying to get by, dealing with everything that's going on in her life.
She has to pay bills like anybody else,
There you go. Okay, so now you also have another Kickstarter.
Yeah, that was on Indiegogo, so it's only on Indiegogo.
Okay, that one's on Indiegogo,
Mm-hmm.
and we have the link for that as well, so that'll get posted on there. So tell us about that one, Ben.
The one on Kickstarter.
The other, yeah, the Mighty.
Yeah, it's called Mighty Tiny Tales of the Old Empire. It's a series I did back in the late '80s. It's sort of a combination. The best way I can say is a combination of like Secret of Nin meets steampunk. So the characters are these evolved mice and rodents who created a sort of a Victorian era style civilization. The world they live in, they're still the same size as mice and rats, though. So the mice are they're no bigger than 4 or 5 inches tall, and the rats are the same height. So they're living in this world where they're small, but they've created a civilization, And they discovered that maybe they weren't the first creatures to inhabit the earth, because they discovered these huge gigantic skeletons, and they don't know what they are. They think that they inhabited the earth before. So they're also finding out all the remnants of what was left behind, like these ancient relics and stuff like that. So they're discovering that, and there are 2 empires: the Mouse Empire, the Mosputa, which is called Mosputa, and the Rat Empire, which was Radvaria, and they have an uneasy peace, but there's like this secret sect trying to spark a war between the two, because then after they destroy each other, they can take over. But these 2 kids, they uncover the plot, so they're trying to let people know about the plot, and that's where the adventure begins, basically.
Wow, that really sounds interesting, and I really wasn't aware of that title. You did that in the 80s.
Yeah, I did the series in '89. Hasn't been reprinted in a very, very long time, so I decided, this might be a good time to share it with a new printing. So we decided to go and offer it.
And that's one of the advantages for being in the industry for a very long time, is that you've got those pieces that you can bring up every so often and kind of give it
exactly. I mean, once you do something, it's yours forever. That's the end of it. I mean, there's a reason why Marvel and DC, they print their Golden Age stuff, their Silver Age stuff. I mean, they keep those things in print, for forever. As long as it sells. How many times did they print the Spider-Man story? All that kind of stuff.
And that's one of the ways how you work efficiently. Yeah.
Well, good work always stands the test of time. I think that we're still reading books that are written 100, 200 years ago. They're still in print. So it's like people.
And there's some good stuff to go back there and read from this 60s, 70s, and so forth. I even like the stuff going back into the Pulp Fiction. I do like that era myself.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, there's a reason why people still read the Robert E. Howard stuff. They still read, things like that, and Conan Doyle and Edgar Rice Burroughs. Because they wrote good stuff that people enjoyed reading. Many decades.
Big fan of Edgar Rice Burroughs too. I love that stuff.
Absolutely.
This the Mighty Tiny also has. It's kind of interesting because one of the topics that kind of comes up often on our show is about ancient aliens, and that story you just described, that's exactly what it sounds like. Finding these old bones and old technology and stuff like that. So as you're mentioning all that, I just couldn't help but laugh within myself.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, the thing about it is that what the Earth is billions of years old, right? So it's hard for me to believe that man's only been on this planet for, they say, what, 200,000 years. It seems impossible to me. And then you look at ancient civilizations, and what they created, what they accomplished. We can duplicate half the technology that these ancient people used to do on a regular basis. There's still things they can't explain.
There's so much that they can't explain.
Yeah, how did they do that?
Now back to your so the mouse the mice is they have their own community, and then there's like rats, right?
Yes, right. They,
Do they?
go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. No.
Yeah, the thing is that the both societies really don't like each other. You know, the mice hate the rats and the rats hate the mice. But the two kids, one is a mouse and one is a rat. You know, and they both have grown up together, and they are best friends. You know, but his rat friend is always being picked on. You know, and discriminated against.
Yeah.
You know, in the mouse society that they live in, and he has to stand up and defend his friend. You know, because his friend can't fight back, because if he did, then you know he would be punished. You know, so I'm showing the dynamic between two separate species that are trying to get along with, who are best friends. You know, who would die for each other. You know, and that's I'm trying to show that dynamic. You know, and that's the point of the story is about friendship, as well as trying to uncover this plot.
Can they actually breed with each other?
I don't know. I never explored that part.
Okay.
It is. I guess it'd be possible. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I've never thought of it that far.
Now, if you really want to make the money on Kickstarter,
I wonder if they can co-create with each other. I don't know. It never occurred to me that might be something that might.
You could have like a Romeo and Juliet, like the guy is like super, this hot huge rat, and then the girl is like this nice mouse, and then maybe I don't know.
That might be an interesting story.
Yeah.
I guess if I decided to do it as sort of a YA novel, that might be appropriate.
That's for the adults only Patreon.
Okay, here we
It
go.
would be interesting, I would say.
Coming out of left field, Bond Park.
I didn't think we'd get in that direction. Oh my god.
No. But seriously, like, do you think in real life, the mouse and the rats, they don't ever breed with each other, right? There's no hybrid, right?
I don't know. I'm not.
That's really fascinating if you think about it, right?
I guess if you do it on the cellular level, it might be possible. I know there's scientific breakthroughs where they can actually clone things, and they can mix different DNA. Like I think they injected like some animals with like jellyfish luminosity, and the animals, things like that. So I think it is possible that there might be interest in there. I mean, a mule is a crossbreed between a horse and a donkey, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that is possible. You can cross species. And I'm sure
to a certain extent, like, I mean, you can't breed a chimp with a human, because, I mean, even though we're really close, we're not close enough for it to work.
Well, we want to. That's
somebody is out there.
Territory here?
We know some people have tried.
Somebody is out there trying.
Well, just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's like the Dr. Moreau's, isn't it island or something?
Yeah,
it becomes like that.
Right. You don't want to get into that territory for sure.
Yeah.
That's what that was.
Though I'm sure a lot of furry people would probably disagree with that.
Oh yeah,
I want cat girl, please.
They want it.
I mean,
All
you
right,
never
let's
know. I mean, we're getting to that point where you could probably create at least robot facsimiles. So that might be close enough.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's check in with what these guys have on the board so far. Mog, what show us what you have.
Huh? Why always pick on me
Oh my
first?
God, that looks so cute.
Because you're the co-host.
It's just I just did the preliminary, and I'm kind of inking it. So
All right.
I
So you
love
want a
when
bit
other
on
people
that
draw.
so far. We are looking for a bit of 50
Thank
on
you.
that. All right, let's go to Fish next.
Oh, I better stop what I'm
Oh,
doing.
and he's got a lot going on already.
He's got
on that
attitude for
cover.
sure.
Look at that.
see
Big
that's a hot muffin there. Yeah.
Such
You
clean
know,
line work.
What can I say? And the artwork's not bad either.
You might have a career, kid. You might have a career.
you
I
talked
don't know,
about
85 books in the last 5 years. I'm doing all right.
who wants to walk behind that character. Anyway, so we're looking for a bit of $50 on that.
May I
So
ask
you
what
can go
your
ahead and put that in there,
artistic?
comments. And Ruben is working on that Catwoman. Bum, bum, bum. She's getting highlight. Look at those luscious lips.
Getting
Oh my
those
God.
cat eyes.
Angelina
Okay.
Jolie's lips.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
Looking
Yeah.
for a 60 on that.
The
Okay.
Angelina Jolie would be
the,
a good Catwoman.
the thing behind this one, Mel,
Yeah.
is
Okay. What is
I,
it?
so I get inspired by different artists. Still, I don't, I still am looking to grow as an artist myself. And somebody that I met at C2E2 was Sosa Mike. I remember I introduced you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she was really nice, and I ended up getting her her sketchbook or her art book.
Nice.
So that's
Oh,
kind of where
wow.
this is coming from. So yeah,
Cool.
She's really
There you
good.
that's why. Like
Yeah.
normally, my lips are a little different,
Mhm.
but so I'm definitely looking at some of her pieces, and I like the way they look. So I think it's a good,
Yeah, it's looking
good
it's
source
looking
of
good.
inspiration.
Well, it's definitely one of those things that men look for in a very
Yeah.
attractive woman.
Yeah.
Really? I was going to say, do you honestly,
go.
like, all of you guys like girls with like really big lips? Like that? Do you find it attractive?
It definitely is.
I mean,
Definitely
As long as they're real.
accentuates.
They can't be fake lips.
I'd like to be able to give her a kiss, but I mean, other than that, I don't really think about the lips all that terrible.
Yeah, it's one of those features that makes women appealing, but I don't know that necessarily that we look for it. Or,
Yeah, I don't look for it. I don't look for much these days because I'm pretty satisfied.
It gets you in trouble. You start looking too hard now.
Mel doesn't look at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really don't look much.
No, he looks all the time because of the reference. He needs to help me with reference.
I
Yeah.
kind of look at me at C2E2, but we won't talk about that.
Oh my goodness. I was so wishing my wife was there because we would have had so much fun just critiquing some of the body parts on display. I mean, the young ladies were bold. I'm gonna give them that. There was
that's for sure. You do have a bid on your piece, Ruben, at 60 from Mike. Thank you for that from Mike.
All right.
And
thanks,
now
Mike.
let's go to Mr. John.
Okay, I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Good.
Okay, I didn't think you could hear me there for a bit. I don't know why it does that on the stream.
No worries.
Evangeline, kind of pensive and calm and
Wow.
black.
Oh, wow.
He's already started coloring.
Jeez,
Doing
yeah.
her thing.
You
He's
do
a
have
monster.
you have had several bids on that already, but Mike Asbill has got the high bid right now at $80 on your piece. So thank you for that.
Cool.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate
Thank you
that
for
very
supporting
much.
John. Yeah.
All right, so don't go away. We're going to take a short commercial break, but we'll be right back with Ben Dunn, Mr. Fish, Ruben Rosas, and John Stinsman.
Did you know that Arthur, King of the Britons, in Monty Python and the Holy Grail was played by a famous Graham? Check out another famous Graham by following our Instagram.
Something is speaking to you. Play more comics. Just at the edge of your perception. Play more comics. Your senses fill with visions of vortices. 360 Comics. Slowly drawing you to one thundering epiphany.
360 Comics! 360 Comics! 360 Comics!
The universe is telling you to shop with 360 Comics. Joe's got amazing stock from high dollar to $5 books from Silver Age to modern, CGC, variant covers, and more. 360 Comics every Wednesday at 9 Eastern, part of The Experience. Ask your local comic shop to add Battle Quest comics to your pull list today.
Hey, welcome back, everyone. Do us a favor, hit that follow button, help us increase our followers to 3,000, where we'll probably do another great, fantastic giveaway with slab books, and we can continue to bring you wonderful shows like Nick Barucci's original art show happening tomorrow night at 7 p.m. And if you want to get qualified for the free giveaways we'll be doing later on tonight, put in # EXP tomorrow, girl. All right. And oh yeah, okay. So let's do that right now, JD. Let's. We've got some items that Mog is going to be putting up. These are just straight claim sales, and so if you like those, you can just put those up in the comments. This is a Geisha Ninja Raven. That is, it's hard to see that. I'll have to change that next time. But it's $400 for an 11 by 17. That's original pencils. And another 11 by 17 original pencils. This is Cleo from Strange Academy. She's looking pretty sweet there. All right, so now this is a canvas print, $200, 12 by 18, shipping included for that. Raven, if you're familiar with the character. And Steampunk Darth Vader coming in at the same size, 12 by 18, $200, shipping included. If you're interested in that, you can put that into the comments. Darth Maul Shogunate, 125. This is a smaller one for 7 by 10. It's all Star Wars tonight. Yoda, 125, 7 by 10, shipping included.
That's nice.
All right, so if any of those interest you, just go ahead and put that into the comments. All right, and I like what Steve says here before we went on break there. Zip lips are best on a female, at least according to the Macho Man.
That reminds me, we were at Henri's place at C2E2. Okay. And by the way, anybody watching this show, please check out Henri. I don't know what day he's at the Experience.
Henri has a show on the Experience here as well, so you definitely want to check him out. He does great books, and
he's really
he buys that book today. He wants to sell it today, so he prices it that way. Right, so check him if you get a chance.
Awesome guy, like seriously, genuinely.
One of the genuinely nicest guys I've ever met in comics.
Totally. It's not fake. It's real. But
it's really not.
Yes, fish. He told me some wise words because he was saying like I was talking about what should like women wear on their first date or something, right? and then he said, "Okay, I'm gonna tell you. Okay, just 2 things that you just need to do." It's like, what is it? Gotta show those legs, and then you gotta show a little bit of cleavage. That's it. Like makeup, whatever, I don't care. Just show those assets pretty okay. Doesn't have to be even like exposed, covered, but just show. Give me a hint. Give me like a whatever, and you're good. So I think zip lips, whatever. I agree. According to Henri's wise words, lips don't matter. Do you agree?
I do that now.
What?
So Ben, how do you? What has been your take on that? How risky do you go?
Yeah.
With your characters in your books.
For my own characters, well, back when I was younger, I went all the way. But as I've grown older, I have decided to pull it back a notch. So, I try to keep it, more or less, in the sort of the all ages group if I can. But I mean, every once in a while, I do, try to be a little bit more curvaceous in my presentation, but I try to keep it, very, very modest, so to speak. So.
Right, because your target audience is a much younger audience. Would you agree?
I've never done any research on. I assume most of my readers are older readers, people who sort of just grew up with my stuff. When I was doing Warrior Nun, I definitely exploited every asset I could, with that character. But it's the 90s, everyone did that.
Yeah.
So, right now it seems like people are a little bit more skittish when it comes to the presentation of the female form. So I tried to keep it tasteful, I guess is the word.
I think that's the key word, because that's something that we've had to tackle. That is something that Nog has not been comfortable with. I'm more comfortable with it. I look at it as more of art, but I still want it like done in a tasteful way. I don't want it to be as exploitational as some of the other books have gone. But now with Kickstarter here and more books coming out, we see a lot of more of the titillation that's out there. That,
Yeah. It's not unusual. I mean,
yeah.
the thing is that that's one of the areas that you can, just go all out. The only advice I would give is never reveal the age of the character. So that will be a red flag to Kickstarter. So.
There you go. That's good advice there.
Mm-hmm.
You may want to try not to have your character look too young either. Else I just kind of read into it. Jenny writes, it's sort of a growing sentiment among younger people that nudity and relations in media are unnecessary and exploitative. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the thing is that, I think that people are losing the ability to have a relationship because, most of the thing is most people are texting or on their phones and, I mean, can they truly interact with another human being face to face? It seems to be almost becoming a lost art form, basically.
You're right. I can agree with you on that.
Yeah. I mean, when you and I'm 60 years old, so I remember the days where you actually had to go out and meet people and talk to them, face to face. And you had to interact, and that was the only way you got things done. Or you could get things meet people.
Right.
Now you can go on social media, text somebody. You don't even have to meet somebody face to face to foster a relationship with somebody.
Right.
Man, if you didn't get that number while you were in person, you just never going to see her again. You had to be bold. You had to make a move.
Well, I'm glad that you guys are on here because I am in the 60s as well, and that's one thing. And I'm glad that I went through it that way because I look at the people today and how they're trying to meet people and what they have to go through with Tinder and all this, and it's just not working. They're not making the kind of connections that we did back in our day.
Yeah, to get to know somebody, you have to actually meet them. I mean, the thing is, it's ironic that people can have all sorts of things to say when they're texting, or on their phone, but once they meet face to face, they got nothing to say.
Right. Yeah, and the thing too with when you're just like texting, there are fronts that you're putting up that are more easily done when you're not face to face. But when you're face to face, there's other information that you can get from meeting in person. There's the body language, the gestures, and all these little things that are happening that feed into how you read this person that you can't get by going on the internet and going through all that. And I think that's like why there is so much problems in the dating scene, why we have so many reality shows that deal with dating. And it's not just in the United States, but it's across the world where where they have a high access to the internet.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The thing is that you back in the day, you would be introduced to somebody, so you've been more or less vetted. Someone wouldn't introduce you to somebody they didn't know beforehand. I mean, we used to have church socials, dating scene, things like that. Where you would actually get to know someone. I mean, on the internet, you don't know who they are. Really, they can say whatever they want. On the internet, right. And there's no way to actually. I mean, I guess you could just I'm going to run this guy's name through the police database and see this guy.
Some people do. I know some ladies that can find everything about you on the internet.
That is amazing.
Well, his credit score is not high enough, so.
That's the first thing they look at. What's his credit score at?
Right. What's his educational level? Is any priors?
I'm just saying, a good woman can fix that because my wife turned mine around dramatically. I'm eternally grateful to her for that credit score.
I think maybe someday we're going to see a need we're going to have face to face, where dating, old fashioned dating is going to come back into fashion again, because
I think when people realize that's the way to go, the better way to go. And I think I was like 14. I was already going, man, I can't wait to get a car so I can drive.
I know, right? I mean,
with
we
my
couldn't
friends and
wait to
go
get
on
out of our
dates.
parents' house, right? We just went,
exactly.
oh, wait till I can drive and I can get the hell out of here.
I'm gonna be out of here. I'm never coming back.
Yeah, I mean, now kids these days they want to stay with their parents.
I know. My son is 18.
Getting our kids to get licensed.
My son is 18 and he doesn't want to learn how to drive a car. He goes around with his girlfriend. They just walk out everywhere. And I go,
No.
I mean, the thing
girlfriend drives.
We are not teaching.
She's
them
driving
basic
him
skills.
around now.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
In that case, I give him credit.
Yeah.
We're not teaching them
Smart
basic
guy.
skills. Like how to balance a checkbook, how to how to pay bills, how to go to the DMV and register for a driver's license. My wife, she's a home ec teacher. So she teaches the kids how to cook, how to sew, how to do that stuff. And you'd be surprised how ignorant, kids are about just things. They just assume everything is there. Just go to the supermarket and just buy whatever you want, or the parents provide for them. So they don't experience life or hardship because they've never experienced it. And that unfortunately doesn't prepare you for life. That's the thing. You might as well just be like in the Matrix, in a cubicle. And it doesn't. If you want to really be a complete person, you have to go out there and meet people, experience new things. Because that's what makes us a whole.
Right. Yeah. I totally agree with you.
Then where do we meet people? Like for the love of your
conventions.
life?
You just went to a convention.
Convention, really? That's it?
Yeah, you can meet people. I mean, especially with like-minded, people who share your same interests. I mean, if like I'm a Star Trek fan and I see another person in cosplaying a Star Trek uniform, or I strike up a conversation with a fellow fan who's also a Star Trek.
All right, Ben, where did you meet your wife?
Yeah, where'd you meet your wife then?
Oh, okay. So my wife was the best friend of my brother's wife. Okay, they went to school together, and then my brother is an MD. So and my father is an acupuncturist. Okay. So my best friends, the wife of my brother, who's the best friend of this friend, her mother came to see my dad for treatment, and she came along, and then we met, and then at first there wasn't we just knew each other, but then gradually over time we got to see more and more of each other, and we started to become more and more we felt, hey, I sort of like this girl, so we started dating. I asked her out, we started dating, and then eventually I asked her to marry me, and
wow,
20 years, actually, coming up to 25 years next year.
He was actually through your dad, and you were kind of working like a family work, help out stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I actually met Mel because of work too at a con, and I bet all of you guys, if you met your wife or whatever,
Con is where we officially met.
It was because you guys were like maybe working or something, and then happened to see that person.
Right, but we were there.
Right.
That's the key thing, is that you saw somebody, you struck up a conversation, you liked that person, you got to know them better, through dating, through getting to know each other more, finding out what the thing about it is that you get to know somebody over a long period of time. You don't just say, oh yeah,
that's basically actually what happened, is that because it wasn't like love at first sight or anything like that. It was mainly business that Mog and I hooked up, and it started very slow. Okay, it's little communication here back and forth, and then we got onto something where we were trying to work together on something, and that's where it kind of like blossomed and came together. So and that's like over a year's time. So it didn't happen. I was kind of like going through ending one relationship, so I wasn't looking for another one actually, and definitely not one to get into something that fast. But
Oh
then,
my
hey,
God. Trust me when I say this. This guy was the last man on earth that I would even think of. So yes. Yeah.
Well, that's to show how life is unpredictable.
It's very unpredictable.
My
very
wife
much
would probably
so
say the same thing
unpredictable.
about me.
some people
And
say it's fate. Some people say it's just destiny. It just
yeah,
it's
Watch
not.
out, Mog, because I'm
It's
learning.
So,
not.
Mog, how
You are
did
my
he win you
density.
over? How did Mel win you over?
With
You said he's
logic.
with logic.
Yes.
wow, dude,
Good
they all miss
argument.
talk on him.
Gotta do it every time.
no,
The old Vulcan thing.
Because I don't understand emotion very well and I've never been in love.
That's my girl.
He had to logically explain to me like a thesis
what is love?
and like
You
the
wanna
actual
marry?
evidence and conclusion.
How to do a term
Wow.
paper, huh?
Yeah. He had to collect all the data and then tell me in a very logical manner. Like if this guy was gushing and like crying and begging on his knees and throwing roses at my feet, I'll be like, get lost. Get lost. Like
Wow,
you
so you
are
were
like
looking for a
talking a foreign
particular type.
language. But you are logically explaining everything that I can understand.
I love you
Okay?
so much.
Then
That
yeah.
sounds very similar to how my mom and dad met, actually.
Oh really?
Yeah, very similar.
How did they meet?
Wow,
Well, my mom, she was living with her aunt because back in those days, when you had too many children and you couldn't take care of them, you gave some of your children away to be raised by wealthier relatives. And my mom was that way. So she ran my aunt ran a hotel in Taiwan, and it was a fairly well-to-do hotel, and she was there to help my aunt run the hotel. So she said she had dated a lot of guys, but they usually turned out to be wishy-washy or too emotional or too, just didn't meet her standards. But when she met my dad had a plan. He knew exactly what he'd want to do with his life. He knew exactly what, he was very logical, just, like you. And she said, yeah, okay, this is the guy for me. So
Interesting.
that's how they married, So it's very interesting because in Taiwan, there's there's some superstition where before you get married, you got to go to a fortune teller.
Yeah. Same as Korea. Yeah.
Oh, you really? Okay. Well, yeah, you can identify with that then.
Yeah.
So when my dad's mom said, yeah, go ahead and marry her, you're going to get divorced anyway because the fortune teller says you're going to get married 3 times. But you know what my dad did? He married her 3 times.
There you go. That's what I would have done.
Yeah. That's not surprising.
Yeah,
Not surprising at all.
It was very, very sweet, I thought. So it was
Yeah.
like, but yeah, I mean, that's the thing is that any community, especially ours, is built on relationships. People you can get pretty far, just getting to know people, and you'll find out that not only they can become friends of yours, but they can be professional acquaintances, and they can also help you out in case you need some help. So it's always good to build bridges rather than burn them. Which I don't understand the mentality, on social media where everyone seems to want to attack each other, and tear everybody down.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
You liked a show I didn't? Oh, you're a monster.
I totally agree with you, Ben, and we choose not to partake in any of that. So I refrain from posting anything negative whatsoever. I'd rather wash my laundry in my own private room and not put it out there in public. Mike asks, is John Evangeline up to 90 yet? I'll place that bid if it's not already. And Mike, you have that at 90. All right, so you have that for the John's Evangeline. Okay.
Much appreciated, Mike.
And there's a lot of comments coming in on the topic that we're talking about relationships and meeting people. You're right, Mel. I just missed that one. But he was basically saying that in order for this to work, Mog has to bring in the money so we can stay together.
Yeah. Like Ben, your
Yes.
mom, for your mom, your dad had to say, I will do this and this and this and that. Like, I have a goal. For me, it wasn't even that. Are you not an idiot? Thank you. And also, second,
Yeah, that helps.
like this guy, I knew he can be logical. That's all I looked for. Like anything else, we can tackle together. You're poor, you're
And that's
down,
that's
like
something I
homeless. I
that's
don't
something
care.
I question. Okay, because she's saying how it's logical. Okay, humans are not logical.
I
So
know.
We're very emotional. As
it's
Captain
very
Kirk.
illogical.
Turns out Mel's very emotional. He tricked me.
Yeah, the thing is not to be ruled by your emotions. That's the thing.
Yeah.
A lot of people
that's the hard part.
Yeah, I know a lot of people just fly off the handle just on the slightest little thing, and it's just like,
Oh my God.
Once you get into that territory, it's hard to pull it back. When tempers rise, people start becoming confrontational. People start yelling. It can get very much out of hand very quickly. And that's the thing is that of course, we're passionate. People are passionate. There are things that will set them off. The trick is try to not let it rule you. Like Yoda would say.
Yeah, that was something I had to figure out because, like, I always thought of myself as a kid that I was a gun, and it's not my fault if you pull the trigger. If I get mad and you catch it, well, that's your fault. You shouldn't have made me mad. And it took a long time for me to learn that I had to take responsibility for myself. I couldn't just go around like that all the time. And
I think that's how we are as kids too. Because I know for me, I got easily offended, and and so it was easily that I just want to throw blows. It didn't take that long, and it did take me. But once I got out of high school, and you saw that fights got more serious and more dangerous.
now you go into jail and stuff.
About it.
Yeah.
I can actually go to jail now.
And my
and they
wife's
just
a
bloody
teacher, so
noses
she
and then
knows.
go home. No, yeah.
Oh, your wife's a teacher.
She's a middle school teacher. The thing is, she always tells me that middle school kids are the worst. Okay, because they are in between elementary school and high school.
Yeah.
She says kids in high school are better behaved because they're almost near adulthood. And elementary school kids, they don't know better. They're just they're idiots. Okay, but middle school kids are the worst because they're in between being a stupid kid and being an adult. They have the mentality of a stupid kid, but they have the physique of almost an adult. And they just don't understand, the transitioning. So she tells me that middle school students are the worst to deal with because they're just in that nebulous zone of emotion because the puberty is hitting them, and they don't hit it all at the same time. They have different things.
It's different.
And they're smart enough to get into bigger trouble now.
Oh yeah, they are. Yeah. They can be really, they can be very clever. That's the thing, and they know what they can get away with and what they can't. So they, or sometimes they just don't care. They'll just do it because, what are you going to do with me, huh? What are you going to do, huh?
That's because they're still testing their boundaries. That's that age where they're testing boundaries. Well, how far can I get away with this? How much of this can I do? So it's like it's their way of exploring the world still, and that's when we have to try and teach them. Well, there are consequences.
Well, the thing about it is that she says that schools now they don't. They're restricted on the kind of punishment they can mete out.
Right.
And the thing is, if you don't punish people for bad behavior, they're just going to keep doing the bad behavior.
Exactly.
There's got to be consequence for bad behavior. It's just simple as that. But unfortunately, teachers are not supported, in their ability to control bad behavior.
Yeah, not in my day. Teachers had a lot of power to.
Oh yes, you did not disrespect your teacher.
Yeah.
It was just
so
a given. Not only because
I am of that side that agrees that we took away too much of that power that a teacher had to control their students.
Right. Well, I mean, the thing about it is that not only were there consequences back then from the teacher in the school, but from your parents.
Yes.
You see, that was the worst part, is have to do with your parents. But now
it wasn't the parents automatically assuming that the teacher was wrong. Like if you got in trouble at school, you did it and you deserved it.
Right. The parents are now taking the side of their kid, They don't trust the teacher anymore.
Yeah.
It's sad.
Why is the teacher going to pick on my kid? Like, why? Seriously,
Well,
why would they
I
care?
suggested to them, what they should do is you put cameras in every single room, and let parents log in anytime to see what the heck their little monsters are doing, and they can see for themselves just how they behave, and then the whole world can see what kind of, creatures they're raising. So
that has been suggested many times, but it's gotten shot down because it's not the parents want it, some of the teachers want it, but there are other issues that they're worried about, and they just don't want to have to deal with that, like opening Pandora's box. But I would totally support that.
Man, there's so many times my kids would like get on trouble on the bus, and they're like, "Well, we've got video footage of your kid doing it." I was like, "Well, let me see it so that I know what happened." No, we can't show you because there's other people's kids on there. And I was like, "Well, get the other kids' permission. If they're wanting my kid in trouble, let's see what happened." No, we can't do that.
Just blur their faces.
Yeah.
The thing is that we have cameras on
buses.
buses.
Word for it.
We have cameras on buses. Why can't we have them in the classroom? I mean, there's not much of a difference,
right?
To be honest, and we catch a lot of bad behavior on buses. That's for sure. I mean, I don't want it to be I don't want to be a Big Brother society where we have cameras everywhere. But I think in this case that if it's out in the public,
when there's an inherent distrust against the teachers now anyway, that my baby wouldn't do that. Yeah, but I want cameras in there. Say it's for my benefit. Say it's because you parents don't trust the teachers. You can keep an eye on it. But really,
that's right.
We can verify and be like, no, he actually is a little liar. He was stealing. He was groping girls in class. Like whatever it was he was doing, we got it on tape.
Absolutely. Yeah. But anyway, that's just something she has to deal with all the time. It's just, and I say, I always, oh, I'm sorry to see that. You hear that, sweetheart? Because all I did was just draw a comic today. So.
All right, we're going to take a little break. When we come back, we'll continue this probably along with some others, and we'll check in with the artists to see what they have going on the board. So don't go away. We'll be right back.
What do you call the place on Spider-Man's wrists where the webs come out? His website. I hate myself for writing that joke, but you'd make me feel so much better if you just visited our website. We have links to our merch, new release lists, all the show info, and so much more. TheEXPLive.com.
Live from New York. What? Oh, sorry. Live from Cleveland? It's Friday night? It's Friday Night Live! With Nancy McCann. And Ricky. And sometimes Carlos. And featuring boxes and boxes of rare comics. Unique collectibles. Lots of smiles and conversations with new friends. Friday Night Live with Comics Unlimited. Friday night from 9 to 11 on The Experience. There's something for every imagination at your local comic shop. Visit comicshoplocator.com to find a store near you.
Hey, welcome back, everyone. Thanks again for joining us. We've got Ben Dunn as our special guest tonight. Don't forget to hit that follow button. Help us increase our followers. And if you want to get in on the freebies tonight, #EXP Tomorrow Girl, which is what Mog is drawing, but she's
great.
Thank you.
All right, let's
Wonder-
take a look at that. Let's see what you got going there. Your Tomorrow Girl. Okay.
I'm gonna
She's
kind of
a
color it.
slammed up citizen there. She is, eh? That's coming on along very nicely.
That's
We are still
beautiful.
looking for an opening bid of $50 on that. So if you want that book, go ahead and put that into the comments.
Great job.
And next, Mr. Fish Lee is working on The Mighty Ka.
I am indeed. Get them
Oh,
all colored in there.
he's getting it all colored in there. And we are looking for an opening bid on that one too as well for $50. So if you want that, go ahead and put that into the comments.
Looks really mighty.
Thank you very much. He is.
It's a fun book. Go ahead and make sure you check out the link in the comments.
You look like they have to eat you for breakfast.
Deadliest
Get all
Man
the-
in the Galaxy. It's like Saturday morning cartoons, just super violent.
That's what he kind of reminds me of. Is God, what's that one? Birdman from out of the '60s and the '70s.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Which
he kinda
honestly,
looks like
I've been watching some of recently and is way more violent than people remember. He killed almost everybody, or like just let them die.
Well, that was the way all the Hanna-Barbera heroes did back then.
I mean,
That was
there's
the solution
so
to
much
everything.
killing everybody. It's amazing. And it's kind of beautiful in a way because it really like I love Ka, and sometimes people like see it and they're like, it's kind of Saturday morning cartoonish, and it is. But I remind them like there's a whole lot of people with like their heads turned the wrong way and their insides on the outside. Like it's not a kid friendly book. I mean, like
Yeah, but you notice
the
in
cover
most
of the
cases.
second issue, he's got his little arm missing. He's lost it. Ka's going to help him find it.
Yikes!
I love the Birdman. I love watching the Herculoids back then. Too.
Oh man, oh, absolutely love it. I've
Hercules,
got
yeah.
another book I'm fixing to start doing that I want to pair up with this and make it like a double thick book and have one of the stories be this and one of the stories be that in honor of like the old Space Ghost and the Herculoids mashed up into one show. Like I loved that stuff growing up.
Sarah goes, "Ooh, Ka has a cool sword that's got a story we haven't heard yet, right?"
Yes, it does. It's got a big story, and it's just starting. You're just starting to get pieces of it in the fourth issue because the issues move really fast. They're quick paced. They're short. They're like Saturday morning cartoons. It's like when we last saw our hero, he was being chased by the hellhounds of hyperspace, and then he slaughters the beast and he saves everybody, and he blows up and he's shipwrecked on a lost planet. Oh no, how will he survive? Tune in next month. Like it's really just fast, fun, action packed. That's what it is. So we're just getting to the story in the fourth one about what the sword is and getting some hints as to where it is. And it's going to be the big thing that he's chasing after for a while, trying to get it back after being captured by space pirates and shipwrecked on a lost planet at the end of the galaxy.
And JD writes that that Dynamite is putting out Space Ghost, which I like. In fact, I haven't checked it out, but everything that I've heard about that issue sounds really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping that I can still get a copy of that. And yeah, since they have the rights to that, maybe they will do the Herculoids because I haven't heard anything about Herculoids in such a long time. I thought those were cool, interesting characters. How can you not like the dinosaurs in there?
So then, what made you draw?
Oh
Fish?
gosh, I've always wanted to draw when I was a little kid. When I first started reading the newspapers, and I went directly to the comic section, just read all the comics in the newspaper when they still had comic strips and newspapers. So and then I started reading Harvey comics, Richie Rich, Casper, and then I skipped the Archie phase. I never really seen I thought Archie was kind of weird.
I loved Archie.
Of relations. I just went right into the superheroes. My first superhero comic was X-Men number 107. The last Dave Cockrum issue.
Yeah.
And then I just started drawing, and I fell in love with drawing comics because it transported me to, worlds that I could imagine on my own. I thought I had a pretty good talent for it. So I just kept doing it and kept doing it. And I hung out with my friends, and they would draw comics, and we just all get together. When kids got together, there was no internet. We didn't have video games. We just got together and started.
Back in my day. I feel you, man.
It was fun. And we created our own characters. And then then the Marvel tryout book came out, and I thought,
Oh,
I said, I'm going to send something in. And I actually got a letter from Marvel.
Whoa.
You know, there was a rejection letter, of course, but
I got so many.
at least they replied, you know, and you try doing that nowadays, you know. But
Mhm.
and then in the 80s, I got my first gig, an actual paying gig on a comic, you know, with a local comic book company. And that set me off on a path to just doing comics professionally. When I went to college, because that was expected. You know, when you're in
Yeah.
an Asian family, you know, you have to go to college. You know, it's like, oh, geez. So I went there. For about 4 years, and I dropped out because, you know, it's like, why am I wasting money going to college when, you know, I want to draw comics? So I borrowed some money, started Antarctic Press, and you know, Anarch Press is celebrating near its 40th anniversary.
That's
Fantastic.
amazing.
Wow.
Right. And there's a lot of changes that you went through in
Oh,
that
yeah.
40 plus years.
I'm sure you know all those changes.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's something I wanted to touch on, but man, I would need like maybe 4 to 6 hours to go over.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's just
That's why
too much history to
when
go
I knew
through.
that you were going to be on the show, I had no idea where to start or where to begin, or you know,
Well, the thing is, most people are just ignorant of comic book history. They have no idea. Okay, most people
Yeah.
are buying their comics online. You know, nowadays they don't have the experience of going to a comic book store and actually interacting with fellow comic book readers, acting with the owner, you know, who's probably a very big fan of comic books. You know, and and now people are just buying manga, you know, at the bookstores. And like, you know, people still want to read comics. You know, it's just that the American comic industry hasn't providing it for them. You know,
Right.
that's the shame of it all, because
Yeah.
comics started in America. You know, so it's sad that we're losing our, you know, our dominance in that field.
And my thing is, you can't find them anywhere. Like when I was a kid, if I was good at the doctor, my mom would like stop at the pharmacy, you know, afterwards, and I'd get a comic book because it was cheap and it was easy and it was accessible. She's not going to drive across town to a scary, dark comic book store and wait in line for 2 hours while two guys argue about who's tougher, the thing or the whole. Like she's not going to do that. Not for that. Not when she can buy me, you know, Pokemon cards or something in line.
Well, absolutely. I think the thing is, the comic books was disposable entertainment. It was meant to be bought cheap and then thrown away, you know, or shared with friends. It was not meant to be a collectible, you know, at least not at first. I mean, sure, there were people probably collect because that's the nature of us as humans, is that we like to collect things, you know.
Right.
And but the thing is that comics were not meant, you know, it was meant to be disposable entertainment. I think we lost sight of that, you know. And plus, when the direct market took over, the major publishers abandoned newsstand because, hey, you know, we don't have to deal with returns anymore. So,
Right.
you know, let's just abandon the newsstand market, without realizing by abandoning the newsstand market, they weren't fostering the next generation of readers. You know, and that's where it's come to bite them in the butt. You know,
Let's just cut off my nose to spite my face. Yeah.
that's exactly right. But you know, at least creators are now finding ways to get their stuff out there with crowdfunding and with on the digital, you know, online.
Oh, that's
Yeah. And this is it's a whole new ball game for everyone as we try to navigate this new landscape, because you can't just be an artist or a writer if you're going to do your own book. There's so many hats now that you're going to have to wear and figure out. So now the learning curve is a whole lot bigger, and we're still trying to figure it out. You know, we're not the big boys, Marvel, DC, or even in Antarctic Press, where we've got like a lot of the answers there, or we've got the lines already established on how we can get our books out there.
Well, you know, the thing is that if you are going through crowdfunding, you are essentially a publisher. You know, you have to go through all the same things that a publisher would go through. You have to create the product, you got to print the product, you got to sell the product, you got to ship the product. You know, that's, you know, you're expected to do all of that a traditional publisher would do for you. You know, if you came, you know, to Antarctic Press with a product, then all you have to do is give us the product, and then we pay you. That's it.
Right.
You don't have to worry about
Yeah.
the shipping. You don't have to worry about the printing. You don't have to worry about the selling. All that kind of stuff. So, but we're finding a new model that we are. We that seems to work pretty well. What we do is people who have successful Kickstarters, can come to us to get their books in the comic stores. While comic stores influence may not be as prevalent as it was decades ago, it's still important, to the comic industry. And this is a way for creators who have already funded their project, and gotten the money to cover the cost and expense of it, to get their store, to get more exposure for a product they've already essentially paid for. And this is a way for them to get in comic stores and get additional income for basically doing nothing. You've already done everything. So you're just basically giving it to us as I sort of liken it to like when you do crowdfunding, it's like a first run movie. People pay to go see it, and then you look at us as a streaming service. After the movie's run its course, then we let everybody else, get a chance to take a look at it.
Now, do you still curate the projects that come to you, or are you just willing to accept anybody that's
Well, we like to think that. For the most part, we are not large like the big publishers. So we, essentially, if it's halfway decent and it's complete, we pretty much take whatever comes our way. As long as they really work with our terms.
When we were at C2E2, that was one of the benefits that they announced for the Heroic Awards, that if you were, I think if you were a winner, then you could set up an online meeting with Antarctic Press to get your book published and distributed through AP. So I thought that was pretty cool, Well,
we're always looking for new talent, because I think that's where the thing is that you never know what's going to be the next big hit, And the thing is that I personally love looking at new projects all the time, because you just never know what's going to come down the pike, and and it could be something amazing, that could be the next thing, And what I love about comics is there's always something new every day. You're exposed to something new, and the amount of imagination creators have is just mind-boggling. It's just amazing the amount of ideas that are out there that are just amazing. And that's what I love about comics. It's a never-ending stream of talent and stories and ideas.
Creativity.
Exactly.
It's all out there.
And the good thing about comics is that it's it's very personal. You don't need, like when you're making a movie, you don't need a large army of people and a huge budget to make a movie. You just sit down and you draw your comic. It's how ultimate democratization of art, art form.
And that's the thing I love about it, is you can get some really weird stuff, but the weirder it gets, the more interesting it is to me. Because like if it's something really out in left field that you deeply love and you want to tell a story about that thing, I want to check that out. I want to know why it's awesome to you, and I want to see, if it's awesome to me too. And 9 times out of 10, it is.
Absolutely, yeah. And there's a comic book with just about any subject matter. That's the beauty of it all. Because it doesn't take. It takes effort, of course, to draw the comic, but it's all you really need is a piece of paper and a pencil, and you can start making a comic. It's as simple as that. All you need is your imagination and the willingness to put in the work. That's what I love about comics.
Yeah, it's one thing that I like too. It's one thing I kind of like fought with my dad about. He didn't like me reading comic books because it's the stereotype view that they had back then. So he wanted to challenge me if I was learning anything from it, and he was big on vocabulary. Being immigrants to the country, he wanted to make sure that I was learning properly the American way. So he told me, I want you to write 10 words down there on a list of paper that you got from this comic book as to words that you don't know and that you have to look up the definition. So I did that, right? And these were actual words I had to like write down. And when he looked at the list, he goes, "These words are in there," and he didn't believe me, so I had to show him exactly where they were in the book, in the comic book.
Sound effects don't count.
Yeah, no, yeah, sound effects don't count. You know? So
Well,
he
that's
made sure
great.
that I looked up all the definitions and I wrote it down and that I understood it, right? But after that, he didn't test me after that anymore.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that there was a meme recently where people say that comic books will break you, or
Mhm.
and I just said, why would anyone want to say that? Because the thing is that comics are a beautiful art form that anybody can get into. You can express any idea in a comic book, and the thing about it is, I think what he should have said was the comic industry will break you. Because that's the thing that is sad, because you are a creator working for a big company. You're putting in years and years of work creating all these wonderful stories and you don't own one iota of it. You see,
Right.
that's where the breakness comes in, is that when you don't benefit from your imagination and your creation, that's where people become disenchanted and disheartened by the industry. If the comic book creators, comic book companies like Marvel and DC had from the very beginning, and they can still do it. They can go back to their entire catalog and says, "Look, we treated these creators like garbage. It's time to make up for it. Let's try to compensate them for their hard work and their imagination that made our company wealthy. That made it. Our company. It's not the same as like a car. An auto worker putting together a Lamborghini. He doesn't get a part of the sale of that Lamborghini, but he's compensated for that.
But
Comic
he
book,
didn't design the Lamborghini.
right?
Okay,
The
it's a
comic book
different thing.
creator, he's the one who, without him, there would be no product.
Mhm.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
And it always befuddles me that these very talented comic book creators just didn't do their own comic. I'm sure some of them did, and it just, it's very hard for top name artists, even in this field, to break out on their own. Of course, there are always exceptions to that, but it seems difficult. But the thing is that I think that's the only way you're going to benefit, as a creator, is just to do something that you created, that you control, and that's, but until things change, I think you're going to continue to get. There is a certain gravitas to be able to work for Marvel or DC or a large entertainment company. Sure, that adds a lot to your resume. And hopefully that'll pay off for you later on down the line. But truth be told, most of the talent that works for Marvel and DC, they're just they're there to fill a quota, to get the book out. And that's about it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree with you. Those guys are basically just looking to get a regular paycheck.
A regular paycheck, exactly
Yeah.
right.
The thing is, I know guys that worked on big projects that we all know from Marvel and stuff, and they don't have that many more like regular fans that support everything they do than I do. Like maybe 80 more than I do. And that's a shame, because I always thought like, oh well, if I go to Marvel someday, I just never what I wanted to do, but maybe someday if something came up, and get some of those fans that would follow me to go do my own stuff. But if it doesn't always pan out that way, why? There's so many people that want to do Spider-Man and Batman, but I want to do my stuff. I got so many freaking ideas. I want to tell my own.
Yeah, exactly.
There is a certain, there's a certain something about being able to do, a character for Marvel or DC for sure. It's fun, and you can have sort of bragging rights, saying, "Oh yeah, I did that book, I did Batman, sure," But the thing about it is that you have to think to yourself, yeah, you get a steady paycheck for sure, but how long will that last? Because Marvel and DC, they're on to the next big thing once they're through with you. They don't care once they've chewed you up and spit you out. It's just
And if the editor gets fired or something, then there you go, you're out.
That's exactly right. Yeah, but I guess I was, fortunate enough to work for Marvel for one time, so I was off my bucket list, so I just, after that, I never did anything else for Marvel. So, but I can at least say that I probably drew almost every single major Marvel character at least once. So, I'm happy with that. So, and then I did one project for DC, just one, and I never did anything for them after that. So, but at least I can say, oh yeah, I did something for Marvel, I did something for DC, sure, yeah. But in the end, I feel more proud of the stuff I've created, than ever working for Marvel or DC.
And nobody's going to be able to take that away or vouch for that.
Unless you sell it.
It's one thing to say that you work for Marvel and DC and you drew this, but it's another thing to say that, hey, I created these characters.
Sure, I mean,
and they're still out there. That's
there's always that potential too. I mean, like when what you create, there's always that potential that Hollywood come knocking and say, hey, your character is great. You want to develop it into a movie, TV series, and because we like what you've done.
Yeah, okay. JD writes that don't ever bring up Spider-Man Noir to Fabrice. Fabrice is a good friend of ours too, so we make sure we don't do that at all. Yeah, but I don't know. Even our attitude, and I've had this discussion with Mog. Do we want to chase down Marvel, DC, and all that? And our answer is no. But if they come knocking, yeah, sure, we'll look at it and see what it is. But
I think for
the things that I hear, I just don't have I don't have an inkling to try and get anything over there, even if just for the credit alone.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I think most people, if Marvel and DC comes to knocking, I mean, there must be something you have.
Yeah,
that would want them to, offer you work for in their company, because nowadays it used to be you went to Marvel and DC, to look for work. Now it's the other way around. They come to you,
right,
to work for them. So if they, I would
unless they say they have open submissions, and then you can go ahead and submit.
When was the last time they had open submissions? I can't think of
it. You see some at the shows. Like WonderCon, there was an open submission for Marvel. C2E2 had open submissions for DC. So, but it's not a blanketed open submission across the board everywhere.
Well, it used to be that way. You could just walk in.
Yeah, it used to be that way.
Yeah, and the editor would be there.
Going to a con is putting in a submission.
I remember going to San Diego Comic-Con, and there would be a line of people at the Marvel and DC booth with their portfolios ready to be reviewed. But I think those days are long gone. Not for us. We still review portfolios.
Oh, there you go. Okay, so if anybody's interested, AP has an open submission.
Yep, we are a good old-fashioned publisher. We look for new talent, because we know that's the lifeblood, of any small publisher, is to continue to look for new material. Because if you don't, then what are you good for?
Yeah, you got to try and keep it fresh somehow.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so if you haven't yet, put in #EXP tomorrow, girl, and that'll get you into the free drawings. And when we come back, we're gonna just take a short break, and then when we come back, we'll review what is up for bids, and we'll finish up with the free giveaways and Mr. Ben Dunn, and see what else everybody else is headed to this weekend. Okay, so don't go away. We'll be right back.
Twitch, it's not just what happens when you have too many energy drinks anymore. Check out our content over there too.
Some comic live streams seem like they're just throwing everything at the wall. Hey, you want this unknown comic? Yeah, here, how about this boring one? Found this one in a rain gutter, give me some money for it. I know this looks like a rotting sandwich, but I swear it's a comic. Pay me! But with Comic Collectibles, we know you don't just want comics, you want the right comics. You want rare variant and incentive covers, vintage books in pristine condition at prices you won't find anywhere else, and truly unique hand-drawn cover sketches by some of the most amazing artists in the business. Join Rex and his rotating cast of co-hosts live from Dynamite Entertainment headquarters for a carefully curated roster of comics that you'll only find here at Comic Collectibles. Every Monday at 6 and Wednesday at 7 Eastern Time. Part of the experience.
By this time in our journey, we had been on the trail of a very elusive creature for about 96 hours. But all the hard work is about to pay off. Oh, crikey, there she is. Oh, by the markings, I'd say this one's at least a 9.8. Oh, she's a real beauty. A true mint copy. Oh, this one will make a fine slab on anyone's display wall. Oh, she's a feisty one, though. Look out, look out!
Mint Hunter Comics is the place to find that mint comic you've been searching for. Mint Hunter Comics, Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern. Part of the experience.
Hey, welcome back, everyone. Don't forget, hit that follow button for us and help us increase our followers so we can continue to bring us wonderful content like our show and Nick Rucci's art show. Okay? And if you haven't yet, put in #EXP Tomorrow Girl, just like Derek did right there. That'll get you qualified for the free giveaways that we're going to be doing very, very shortly. Let's go ahead and check in with the artists. Let's see what they have on the board. We actually started that in the last segment, but we didn't cover it all. Let's start with Mr. Fish.
Let's see. We have got, that's Mr. Fish. We got the sketch cover done, all drawn up with the Mighty Ka, and now I'm doing a sketch card.
And he's throwing in a bonus sketch card there in for you guys.
Got to.
And we're still looking for an opening bid on that for $50. That's really cheap. Don't let that go by, guys. Should be going much higher than that. Okay, so we are still looking for a bid on that. And then next, let's go to Mr. Ruben Rosas. My good
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Whoa, yeah. He's working the lips there.
Yeah, there it is.
And
Yeah.
not zipper lips for sure.
Ruby Red.
And that currently has a bid on it. 69, I believe.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
I like
it has a bid of 69 from Ilya.
The cat eyes are nice.
Thank you.
And then now let's go to Mog. How's that Tomorrow Girl coming?
Oh, that's beautiful.
Nice. Very nice.
Done by tomorrow. It was really lame. I apologize.
Living up to its name, huh?
Love it.
Okay, and that does have an opening bid on it from Mike W., big supporter of the show and of Mog. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you. Yeah.
And Mr. John Stinsman, who's been working on the Evangeline.
Wow.
Oh, nice.
Beautiful.
That's some tight body, yo.
Yeah,
Right, look at that booty.
Yeah, the
haven't lost
booty is
the touch.
behave. Yeah.
She had a booty in the 90s, and she still has one.
Got that 90s hair going for it.
Yeah,
That's right. Gotta
Okay.
keep the era of hair, dude.
That currently has a bid of $90 from Mike W. as well.
It's
We are
funny
looking for
because
the next bid on that of 95 to get you in there. Okay.
looks like the
Steve B
90s.
writes, John, do you still draw inspiration from Mrs. Lobito, the original model for Evangeline, or whatever became of her?
I honestly, as much as people might hate to hear me say this, I never really looked at her as the inspiration to any of the drawings I did of her. You know, it was just sort of like, you know, what's my idealized version of this character look like? And then it was, you know, a thing of trying to create facial expressions and character gestures and things like that that would start to define her personality, you know. I mean, when you have a sword and you're kicking ass, that's pretty much very straightforward. But when you have those conversational scenes, you want to see a little bit of what the character is like something familiar that you would see in a conversation with another person. And
Wow.
I really loved doing that part because she had such an intricate personality because she wasn't from Earth. She was from heaven. And it's a very different world than it is here. So she didn't really understand a lot of what was going on, and she was very shy and demure, but, let a demon pop up and she's going to kick some ass. So it was just the two sides of her were fun to play with. And that's what I loved about it.
Well, you must have hit the right button because that caused Mike W. to place a $100 bid on that.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir.
Very
There we
good.
go.
And
Yes.
Derek, thanks for your bid on Ruben's Catwoman. You
Yeah.
bumped that up to 80 from the 69. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Ben, you were gonna say something about the hair?
Yeah, he said it's very 90s hair.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, 90s are making a comeback. I'm telling you.
Is
I
it?
hope so. That would be great. I would love that.
I really hope not. I
You're
really hope.
seeing a lot of bad girl comics coming up.
Oh,
That's where it came from. The 90s. Though,
Yes,
bad girl
90s,
stuff.
yeah.
Just wait for a
Extreme.
mullet to come back.
I don't know about the fashion. The guys' fashion are horrendous. Baggy pants. Come on.
Oh, God.
Hey, watch it with the back.
Right.
Come on.
That's what it was during that time.
Like shirts all like big and open. Like, I don't know.
90s are a very underrated decade. It's one of those things. I remember comic book collectors thought the 90s were like the worst decade for comics
At the time, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's making a big comeback. I think a lot of people who grew up in the 90s reading those comics, they have fond memories of those comics during that.
We do.
Yeah.
Right. Even as a collector, as a retailer, that was a fun time.
Yeah.
And they're finding
I
out
agree.
that 90s comics are very hard to find in high grade because nobody treated them well. They just
I
treated them like
keep
garbage.
thinking that somebody still got to have cases of some of that stuff.
Oh, I'm sure
Oh,
they do.
yeah, no
Yeah.
doubt.
Yeah. How many X-Men #1s are there out there?
That's the
Oh, I
Superman.
found this in the basement. It's a case of X-Men #1, unopened.
We're gonna be rich.
I got all these Death of Superman issues.
Yeah.
Oh man, I love that issue. I banked it. I did really good on that.
But the thing about it is those things are actually starting to sell now. That's the
Yeah,
thing. People are
again.
starting to buy them. And that's what's ironic. For the longest time, those comics were just considered garbage. Comics, and now people are starting to realize they were pretty good. They were pretty entertaining.
This might sound really weird, but I was listening to like a manga documentary show called Manben, where they interview all these legendary manga artists, kind of like just imagine comic artists, right?
It's cool.
And one of the comments that popped out during the conversation, I related so much, was this lady. She said, I've been doing this for over 20 years, and I think I'm hitting 30 years in my career. And the guy's like, mm-hmm. And I can finally say that I'm beginning to enjoy drawing. So
Wow.
so I was like, oh my God, I agree. And then even the guy that was interviewing, because he was a legendary comic artist himself, he said, oh my God, yeah, I only got to start to really enjoy the craft like when I hit the 30-year mark, something like that. It's almost like oh, go ahead, sorry.
No, I didn't mean to interrupt, but the life of a manga artist is way different than the life of a Western, comic book artist.
Yeah,
their whole mentality and the work ethic is totally different. Manga artists have literally died drawing their comics.
Yeah.
And I can't think of any comic artists who've done that.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I've lost a lot of friends over the last couple of years because partly we don't take good enough care of ourselves because we're hunched over a desk all day drawing.
Yeah.
That's true.
But also, like, a friend of mine was reading me a list. I was telling Mog about this at the con. A friend of mine was reading me a list of like everything that these manga artists had to do and how they only had like 3 hours of free time in a week. And he's like, can you believe that? And my first thought was, No, I have no idea what I would do with 3 whole hours. Man, I could read so many comics. I could catch up on all those shows everybody's talking about. And I realized I probably need to slow down a little bit.
Yeah.
Enjoy life.
Yeah, but I enjoy what I'm doing as well. So, like, if I wasn't doing this, I'd probably still be drawing.
I know, right? It's just one of those things that you can't stop. You can't help yourself. You just got
might as well make some money while I'm sitting.
That's actually one of the things I wanted to bring up with you, Ben, because of the way how comics are produced today and the way how they're produced now is totally different. The whole process is different, where you have to deal with the mail now, and now it's digital. Everything's sent in like digital files.
Thank God.
Yeah,
back in the day, we had to use FedEx. For our FedEx bill was outrageous.
And the fear of that envelope getting lost in the mail.
Yeah, it's been known to happen. It's been known to happen.
But I think I didn't translate it correctly. What I was trying to say was they weren't talking about that they're enjoying their life. It was just more like if you get to a certain point in the craft, they feel like they can finally like be more expressive with their craft more. It's like you hit that threshold and you evolved even higher in a level where you can now use that skill and just sing and soar. That's what they were trying to say. And that reminded me of another an interview I was listening to by, I think, Van Helsing, the lead singer. And he said something similar where the 10,000 hour that you put in is nothing. It's just only to the level where you get equal, like okay, just enough where you get okay. The real like professional level, if you want to become, is you have to at least put 30,000 hours. So that kind of correlated with what they were saying, the other comic artist. So I don't know if you guys relate to that.
You know what? I think the better thing to do is, forget the hours. Just keep doing it. Don't stop.
Yeah, that's true. But
Eventually
do you guys feel that way? Like, I don't know, John, like, did you hit that? Like, where you're like, I've been doing this for over like 20 years and I think I can say this is kind of fun now. Like, do you feel that way by any chance?
I mean, it was fun throughout the entire career, but I mean, as you're a young artist, I got into comic books very young.
Yeah.
You have nothing but uncertainty about your work. And for the longest time, I hated everything that I drew at the height of my own career. I hated it. I was ashamed of it. I was embarrassed of it.
Yeah.
And then as I got older and I started meeting all the fans, and I realized how much they loved it. Because the things that bothered me about it didn't matter to them. This is what they grew up on. This is what they read. This is what formed them as a comic book fan. And when I started to realize that, and that, I could potentially be to a younger audience what the comic book creators that I grew up on, I'm like that to these people. And I had to accept that, as much as I fought against it, just because, it just felt strange to even consider myself in that level. But it really, I think I love it more now than ever, though. But that's because I changed my entire disposition about my art, which is I do the best I can today, and I have tomorrow to get better, and I chase that. And it's the journey is continuous. There is no end point to it until you're in your grave. So, you can always get better. You can always learn something new. You can always see a new artist and go, wow, what the heck is he doing? I got to get some of that.
Yeah.
And chasing after that constantly is a joy. So I don't want to be fully formed. I just want to be as happy as I can, I guess. And if the audience likes what I do, then that's the greatest blessing I have. And that I trust them more than I do myself.
It's kind of like what Ruben is doing then. Like Ruben, like what John, segueing to what you just said, like Ruben, he's kind of like constantly learning. Like he found another artist that he can maybe emulate or pick something out of it that he particularly liked. And look, he's actually applying it.
Yeah.
Right, so
and
we're
he's trying to
running out
master
of
that
time.
part, right?
Let's get into the giveaways. If you haven't yet, put in #EXP tomorrow, girl. And we got like 3 giveaways we're going to do tonight. And you still got time to place those bids in there. So go ahead and get those in. We are into the final minutes. First up that we're going to give away is going to be this Gone graphic novel. Okay. It's something I've been vouching for. That it's something that I like. So I've got a few of these copies I can give away, and this is going to be one of them tonight. Go ahead and roll that wheel, JD. Let's see who our winner is. Mike W wins that.
Yeah,
Wow, Mike!
Congrats, Mike.
Congrats!
And
Congrats.
our next giveaway for is going to be Evangeline Power number 3.
Ooh,
Oh.
look at that.
You know, now that you bring that up, I got to show you some I found at the flea market.
Oh, okay.
All right, so let's go ahead and roll for that, JD.
So I'm guessing, like John, for you, when you were working on that, even the hiatus, you felt like, God, this sucks, right? Were you kind of
And
suffering
the
from
winner
imposter syndrome?
is
Yeah.
Kickbox wins that one. Thank you very much for that.
I definitely was.
73. Makes it nice and convenient. And then on the last item that we have, our top giveaway for tonight is this chromium cover.
Wow.
Holy crap.
Issue
That's like
number
super
4.
shiny.
That's beautiful. That's like a holochrome chromium.
Yeah, it's the last
Yeah.
one we have. So
Oh,
Gorgeous.
yeah, and
that's
I don't think I
a
can get
tarot
any more of
card.
these.
Tarot card. You can actually use it as a tarot card format. It's the judgment
Yeah, I'm
card.
sorry, Derek. I said it wrong. Okay. Stick boy.
Derek
Derek wins that.
Derek, you won
Way to go,
something
Derek.
awesome. Good
Winner,
job.
winner, chicken dinner.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah.
So we
So
still
I found
make
this.
sure you fill in the magic form that JD will be posting up there shortly, so that way we know where everything is going to go.
I will sign that
And,
for you, Derek,
I
if
will
you
be
like.
getting. Let's see, I think I'm only like a couple of weeks behind on shipping, so I will get caught up this
Yeah.
coming weekend. Everything will go out. Congrats to all our winners. Thanks, Ben, for joining us tonight. Loved it. Totally.
Before I go, I
Yeah,
want to show you
Dan.
what I found at the flea market.
Okay.
So,
Okay, show me. Show
has
me.
anyone
Oh.
ever seen this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Whoa.
very nice.
Super hottie.
Hubba, hubba.
Yes.
A
I'm pretty
beautiful
sure I got a
Kathy
copy.
Christie.
Bob Liefeld's 3D House of Evangeline.
Something like that. When you see it, it just makes your day brighter, just something beautiful. Yeah.
Let's see if
yeah,
I can find
baby.
something
I
before
mean,
the show
really?
ends.
This is something else, Look at
That's from the
Ooh.
90s when swimsuits were
Oh
hot.
God, yes. Yeah.
Glory.
Just
Is Rob going to bring back Glory?
Who knows?
John-
That was his Wonder Woman. I mean, look at
yeah.
the waist on this one.
I know, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't
Totally
need
good.
internal organs to save the world. That's ridiculous.
Look at that. Yeah, right there.
So
See?
so John,
This
John.
was my collaboration with Ben.
Hey,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
there you go. Oh, he
That's what I'm
found
talking
it.
about.
He
That's
found
what I'm
it.
talking about.
There you go.
Uh,
Dun, dun, dun.
One of the
Oh,
best
glare.
covers from that series, for
Nice.
sure.
There's Warrior Nun and Evangeline over here.
There you go,
Yeah.
man.
That's cool.
Is that going to be in the collection?
No, there's a couple of series. It's only going to be the first miniseries, the ongoing, and then the 2 miniseries. I mean, he's got enough material to do another volume 2, but it's basically mainly everything that I drew for the character in the series in that omnibus. But yeah, I mean, obviously there's a lot of material that can be mined, including that. But he might have to reach out to you, I would assume, to get the.
I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. We had a really, really great time. I definitely want to bring Ben back on the show and talk a little more serious about comics.
Yeah,
next
it's very
time
serious. DLT, very serious. Very serious.
Ben, thank you so
Join
much.
us next week. We will have Eric Arriaga, a local boy from San Diego, who's putting out his own comic book. He's been an artist, been a big fan of San Diego. Maybe you've seen some of his postings. But we'll be talking to him with some of our artists as well. Right. So tune in then, and we want to again say goodbye to everyone, and you guys enjoyed the rest of your night.
You too. Thank you so much.
Great hanging out with
Thanks,
everyone.
It was a
everybody.
blast as
Take
always.
care,
Have a
everyone.
great night.